Hello, this is GIS 311 Quiz 6 demo video. This is part 2 of 2. We will be starting with step 5 in the GIS 311 Quiz 6 directions. We will now download some demographic data from the US Census, and this is data that comes in an Excel spreadsheet or text file or database format. The census has just recently decided to get rid of one of the main tools that we use to find our data, which was called American FactFinder. However, it is still live through March, so we will utilize American FactFinder. So if we go back to the US Census, the main page, census.gov, we could search for American FactFinder, AFF, but it's not going to come up. It just states when the tables were released. We could look for American FactFinder. And it still will give us a little bit of information, but it doesn't take us to the website. So what I would suggest is in your search bar in the top line, American FactFinder, and click on this factfinder.census.gov link, and it will explain that it's going to be taken offline March 31st, which is unfortunate, but we'll have to make it work after May 31st. For now, we are going to go to Advanced Search, Show Me All, and we'll get to this dialog that is in the directions. It is easier for me to do step 2 first because it limits the data that shows up. It restricts it to the geographies that I'm looking for. Thus, I'm going to go to geographies first. First step is to choose all geographic types. That's imperative so that all options are shown to you. We would like county demographic data. Thus, I'm going to choose county data, code 050, but county data. I want a specific state. Scroll down to Washington, and all counties within Washington. And I'm going to click Add to my selections. What happens is over in the left, my selection shows that I'm going to look for all counties within Washington. I can now close the geographies section, and I'm going to move on to topics. Click on topics, a window pops up, and choose 2010. We're reducing the amount of tables that are available to 4,000, which is still rather large, but we're going to reduce it further. Under product type, we'll choose detailed table, which reduces it a little bit more. Thus far we have detailed table and 2010. Under program, we'll choose decennial census, which brings us down to 480 tables. From here, we'll go to dataset and choose 2001 SF1 data, which leaves us 333 options. From here, we can close the topics. Your selections now are all counties within Washington and the items that we just chose in topics. We're going to refine the search a little bit more by choosing household type, and as we type that, P18 household type pops up. Select that one. Now understand that I'm telling you exactly what data we're looking for. If this was for a project, for another class, or the GIS certificate, you would need to do some extensive searching and investigation to determine which exact table will work for your purpose. In this case, I know what I'm looking for, and I've made it easier for you to find. Thus, we're looking for P18 household type. If I click go, P18 household type pops up, and there's only one option now. I could click on it to view, but it's not that helpful in this area. It has the counties across the top instead of down the side, and the topics on the left instead of across the top. I'm going to choose to go back. From here, I'll click download. It says to click OK to get a zip file containing the selected products. I'll click OK. The file is complete, and I'll click download. I'm going to save this file. Go back to my raw data and create a new folder. I'll name the new folder, if I can click on it, Census 2010 Demographics Washington County Household Type. Notice that it's AFF, which stands for American FactFinder Download. All tables that you download from the US Census will be called exactly that, AFF download.zip, which is why I'm giving a very specific folder name. I'll click Save. I can now minimize my census window. I'm going to navigate back to my data, stretch out the window so I can see. This is the most recently downloaded data, so I know it's here, AFF download. I'm going to extract it using my method. There are 4 files. This is a README. You should read that, but I'm not going to waste the time. Here's a little text file. Here's our metadata, and here's with an, which is annotation. That's the file that we're going to use pretty soon, but we're not going to open it yet. First thing we're going to do before we do anything with this data is download the cartographic or geographic shapefiles to which we are going to join that data that we just downloaded from American FactFinder. We should go back to the main page, and we need to find geographic shapefiles. From the main page, again, we're going to look for shapefiles, cartographic boundary files, tiger line shapefiles. I can browse by topic and choose geography, and they make it difficult to find. Let's try geographies and geography mapping files. They seem to change this website quite a bit. And here's what we're looking for. So here's a product guide. I'm going to open in a new tab. This will tell us a little bit about the data. Feel free to come back here and read. We're not going to read it now. Back in the data, I'm going to grab 2010, and from there there's a tiger line shapefiles link. In the tiger line shapefiles, I'll go back to 2010 and start to download my data. I want to download 2010 Washington counties and equivalent to a new folder. Let's try the web interface, see if it works. Again, I'll select the year. layer type, counties and equivalent, and click submit. From here, I have to be careful not to get to 2000. It asks us a year for a third or fourth time. I'm going to use county and equivalent 2010, and instead of all states, I'm going to scroll down and choose Washington and click download. From here, I get the file TL 2010, so that's Tigerline 2010. 53 is the state, and counties 2010 is what it stands for. Back in my raw data, I'm going to create a new folder and just quickly copy from the quiz directions. Open that Tiger folder, click Save. I'll go back to the data and extract it. And there's my shapefile. Now that I have all of the data I need for the quiz, I go back to my raw data, refresh, and open all the folders. In the directions for the quiz, there's a list of all the data that we should have, and mine matches exactly. I'm on my way to creating this quick map. In ArcMap, I'm going to insert another data frame to keep my analyses separate. In this case, I'm going to call it Tiger County Data, Tiger County Data and Join. And drag in the TL 2010-53, which is Washington State data. It's in the geographic projection. Clear my coordinate system of the data frame just in case my data still exists. From here, I'm going to save my map. I haven't saved in a while. In Maps, Quiz 6. I'll call this one Step 6 because that's where I am right now. And in fact, Step 6.5. Because that's the end of the Step 6, I'll just save one last time. Save as. Step 6, done. So that I know I made it through Step 6 if I happen to stop. The next step is 7, and that involves working with the data in Excel. You may have to use the text import wizard. And by doing so, you can open up Excel, and in the Tell Me What to Do, in the search, from text legacy. And text import wizard gone. Read this if you're working on your own computer. For now, I don't need to because I've already set it up in my computer. It may make things simpler if you save your files as XLS instead of XLSX, but I'll leave that up to you. I will use XLSX because I know it works on my computer. I'm in a blank workbook, book 1, and I have one sheet at the moment. The data I want is in text format, so to speak. I'm going to go to Data and then choose from text if I can find it. Get external data from text. And import text file wizard pops up. scroll to my directory. Quizzes, 6, raw data, demographics, and this is the file that I'm looking for. And I click import. Within the wizard, I do want delimited, comma delimited. So you notice how there's data, comma, data, comma, data, comma. This is comma delimited. Click next. My delimiter is a comma. And once I click on the comma, it separates the data for me. This is a quick and easy way to send data. They send it comma delimited or CSV. The next step, I'll click next. This is the most important step. I need to ensure that my columns that I want to be text are text. Right now this column is general. I'm going to change it to text. This column is general. I'm going to change this to text. These two columns, GeoID and GeoID2, are used to do an attribute join with the spatial data. Thus, it's imperative that you do this when you import the data. Otherwise, you will need to create new data sheet and re-import the data into Excel. It's almost impossible to fix it. From here, I'm going to fix finish, and A1 is where I want the data. And the data has been dropped into my sheet 1 of my book 1 that I have not saved yet. I should now immediately create a copy of my data. I want an exact copy. I'm going to right click, move or copy. In this book, I'm going to move it to the end and create a copy. From there, I'm going to rename this new one to use underscore my underscore data. I now know that this is the data that I want to use. If you make mistakes and have to redo this process, change this sheet name and change the workbook name. This would be use my data underscore 2, for example, if you have to repeat the process. Just to make this a little bit more clear, I'll change these to capitals at the beginning of each word. Next step is to change the name of sheet 1 to do not use me with apostrophe, a space, and exclamation points. So this data will not work in ArcMap anyway, so we know that use my data is the data that we're going to use. This will make sense once we continue on. In Arc, there can only be one header row. Thus, we're going to delete the second header row that has a lot of characters that aren't allowed anyway. So within use my data, select row 2 and delete the row. We will now use don't use me as a reference as to what these headers mean. D002, 003, 2, 3. We can tell what they are based on these headers. Another issue is in Arc we cannot have funky characters. For example, this period, a dash in our headers. I'm going to highlight the row and Control G, which does not work. Control F. Click on replace. I'm going to look for periods within this row and replace it with an underscore. I know that this works, so I'm going to do replace all, and it says that we made 3 replacements. In the same row, I'm going to look for dashes and replace them with underscores, and I'll do one at a time. It finds it, the dash right there, replace with underscore. I'm going to replace and find next. It says there are no more. So I have completely rid this row of the illegal characters, periods and dashes. I can now close. I'm going to save the file as Washington County household type. That's the type of data that we have. File, save as, go to this PC. I found my 311 quizzes within my directory, quiz 6. I now want to put this data in my data folder. I'll paste the name, get rid of the apostrophe, Washington County household type. And as I mentioned earlier, XLSX does work on my computer and is now saved. Now that I've saved the data, I should be done. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to File, Save As, go back to the same folder and change this to a CSV. Just in case the other one didn't work. Same name, it's going to give me a warning. I will still say OK, and I want to keep using that format, so I'll click yes. From there, I know I've already saved it as an XLSX. I'm just going to close. Steps are relatively simple from here. Let me move that back so I can see it. Navigate to my data, refresh. There's the XLSX. I must click the plus and get to the sheet. And the sheet that I want is use my data. I will add that to the map. It goes to the data frame that I've been using. Notice that it gives us an extra line of the path of where the data is coming from, which is okay. Just don't let it confuse you. These are coming from the same locations. My data K6. Although actually I should emphasize this is raw data, but we're going to fix that in a moment. The next step is to join the data. I always start with the shapefile. You've done a join in Lab 2. I'm going to start with the shapefile and join this data to this one. The first thing I'm going to find is what field I can choose to join my data. In this case, I have two. I'm going to open up both tables and compare them side by side by dragging one of them up to that little docking station. Let me show you how to do that again. I grab it, hold, and dock it to the right. The item on the right has less fields to deal with, so I'll look for which field could possibly be a join field. None of these random data items, it seems, could be the right one because these are actually the counts from the census. The geo display label won't match any of these in the other table. It could be two of them, GeoID or GeoID2. From here, I have to find from the right something that matches in the left with the same number of characters. I'll scroll slowly and try to find something to match. And it looks like GeoID has 2, 4, 5 characters, and GeoID2 on the Use My Data has 5 characters. So I now know that I'll be using GeoID2 and GeoID10. I'll close both of the tables and do my join. Right click, join. Instead of spatial, I'm going to join attributes from a table. The field was GeoID10, and Arc pops up, hey, do you want to use GeoID? And I do not. I want to use GeoID2 because that is the one I chose when I was looking at both of them. GeoID1 was too long. I validate my join, close, and complete the join. With every join, remember that it must be exported to seal the join. I'm going to right click, data, export data, send it to my 311 directory. In quizzes, quiz 6 in my data. If you cannot save it as a shapefile, use this scroll down. Sometimes it goes to file in personal geodatabases. It needs to be a shapefile. And the name of the file, I tell you in the directions, is Washington Tiger County Join. So I'll paste that in and .shape. And again, this is going to data quiz 6 of my user ID in quiz 6 of my 311 quizzes within my directory. Yes, I want to add it, and it's added. The old layer I want to remove so it doesn't cause me any hassles. I now have two pieces of data. They're both coming from data case 6, which means my map will work when I zip it and submit it. Notice that tables often get their own directory line even though they're in the same location as the shape. I've gone back to open my data, and for some reason I can't find my old file. So I'm going to have to do a little looking and pull it back up. It seems that Arc is giving me some issues with the Excel file. So I'm going to save this, save as, in my maps folder, step 7. I'm not done yet. I'm going to take away the underscore done and call this underscore 23. That's the step I'm on. From there, I'm going to close ArcMap and reopen Excel. My household type, now I can open it. That was the problem. I couldn't open it previously because it was open in ArcMap. I'm going to enable content. I now want to use Excel to symbolize the percentage of 2010 households that had a male householder with no wife present. In a 5-class color scheme, sequential data using a single hue. To do so, I need to use the don't use me to find what I specified earlier, male household with no wife present. So here I scroll family households, other family households, male householder, no wife present. So I know that I need D005. I'm actually going to write that down because that is the quantity or the item that I'm looking for. And then since I want a percentage, I'm going to be dividing by one of these other columns. Some general information about the census data. Going back to the column I want, this is family households. So let's go with the data. Total, there were 5,720 responses. Of them, there were 4,410 family households and non-family households of 1,310. If we add 1,310 to 4,410, we'll get 5,720. Thus, when we do our division, we want the number of male householder divided by the family households, not the total, because we want to use like things. So of all the family households, we're calculating out those with male householder with no wife present, 375. And just for noting, no husband present, 677 plus 375 plus 1052 plus 3358 would equal 4410. But for now, we need D005 divided by D002 to get our percentage. From here, I can save my file again to make sure it's still intact, close it, and reopen ArcMap. Back in ArcMap, we're almost finished. Just to clear this up, I'm going to minimize the other data frames. This is the layer that I'm going to symbolize. Thus, I'm going to open it. The properties, Symbology, I'm looking for quantities. The value I'm looking for is D005, and normalization to create the percentage will give me, I should use D002 and apply. This is what the map looks like. Using a green to red, which is a bad color scheme to use, and I'll explain why in a second. But green to red, I'm looking at about 5% to 6% of the households are this dark green. And down at the other extreme, about 9% to 10% in this view with the red. So I'm going to change up the colors. We're going back to properties, and I said to use a border outline of R0, G0, B0. To do that, I'm going to choose properties for all symbols, and it's not opening. Unfortunately, it's not opening, but I can make it work. Instead of the census, I'm going to go to Color Brewer 2. And very quickly, I'm going to look for a 5-class color scheme. So I'll go 5 classes. I'm looking sequential data in a single hue, and in this case I've found the purple, which I'll choose. Now that I've chosen the purple, I can scroll down some, and I want RGB colors because I'm working on a computer, so let's use RGB. These are my color values. So I'm going to use 242, 240, 247 for the lowest percentage, 242, 240, 247. And I suggest you write these down or create a screenshot of some sort. So I'm going to create a screenshot so that I have them. Back in Arc, the lowest percentage, so I'm using the lightest color. I'll choose more colors. Instead of HSV, I'll go to RGB and put in my values: 242, 240, 247. And for the outline color, I'm not able to do it. There we go. Now I can. More colors. For RGB, I'm going to go 0, 0, 0. Click OK and OK. And then do the rest of the colors. The next one is 203, 201, 226. (203, 201, 226), and I'll change the border again to 0, 0, 0, OK, and OK. The next one, more colors, RGB 158, 154, 200. Okay. Change the more colors to 0, 0, 0. Next to last one. Looks like I made a mistake. 120. Ooh, didn't work out as well. RGB. There we go. The last RGB, that was my problem last time. I didn't do the RGB. 84, 39, 143. And now I have my color ramp. That is what my map should look like. I'm going to File, Save As, Final.mxd, and I'll put in AAA. User ID, Quiz 6, Final. Save. I do want to point out there's one other way I could have done this. I'll do it very quickly. Instead of using the normalization and dividing 5 by 2, I could have added a field. Add a field. I'm going to call this male household. Make it a double. Okay, and do the calculation here. By field calculator, yes. 005 divided by 002. Okay, the records are calculated. From here, I can format them, numeric, change it to a percentage. In my numeric options, I'm just going to show 1 decimal. Okay, apply, and they all come up 0.1%, which means I chose the wrong option here. The number represents a fraction, show it to adjust percentage. I'll say OK, apply, and now my percentages look better, and click OK. Close the table. I don't have that here, so what I'm going to do is export so I can have 2 of them. You won't be having to do this, but I'm going to export so I can show you that it'll look the same exact way. I'm going to call this Tiger County Join 2. It'll be the exact same data. Add it to the map and then symbolize it in the same way. And I'll show you a little trick about symbolizing. Quantities. In this case, I'm just going to choose male household. The ranges are the same, or they will be, they're almost identical. In terms of symbolizing, I'm going to try to import from another layer, and in this case I'm going to choose this layer. Okay, the value field and the normalization field, and I have the exact same color scheme. Apply, and very quickly I copied this color scheme to here. Now I'll save my map as final, and I have completed the quiz. Watching this video should help very much when you're doing your Lab 6 this week in GIS 311. Thank you for watching.